Hello, everybody, and welcome back. All right, so in case you didn't get caught up because you're not in chat or whatever it is, Aaron is going to, Rinson is going to get my my turkey for cooking, so I can make the nom noms for tomorrow. So bye, Aaron, you'll be missed. But that's okay. We're gonna keep going anyways without Winnie. I think she just fell and broke a toe. No, we're going to get to that in 1 second. So she actually goes out and looks for the thing that you guys just discussed. So with Cracks, go check out that location to find out what you can find about the other area. So Cracks, could you do me a favor? Could you roll for me a what is it? Perception check, and it's going to be wisdom for me. Actually, I told you beforehand if you wanted to, you could do intelligence. I don't know if that really matters to you. But you can do intelligence instead.
Oh, it totally matters. I have -1 in intelligence.
Versus a -2, I assume?
No, versus 0.
Oh, okay. You can do intelligence or wisdom then, so.
Yep. You gotta find the page again. Alright. Eh.
Perfect. And now I'm going to have her do hers. Perception. And, oh wait, what is her higher stat? Oh, she has to do wisdom. You're the one that... Oh, that sucks. Her wisdom's a -1 versus her intelligence is a +1. But you're the one with like the trained eye that I was kind of giving you as like a shtick. Can't give that to her. She has other shticks. But still rolled better. So the two of you guys go over there and you're looking around trying to find out the information that you can, trying to find like some sort of patterning and stuff like that. Unfortunately, nothing jumps out at you. Nothing jumps out for what time they're leaving, if there's like a set location that they always leave from, who's moving around there. You guys are checking it out for a couple of hours, trying to be discreet, but honestly, nothing jumps out at you for what they're doing with your time spent there. So eventually, unless you choose otherwise, you can make your way back to the ship to join up the rest of the party.
Yeah. If Cracks doesn't see anything, he's gonna say to Winnie that, yeah, might as well go back to the rest.
So as you guys are heading back to the ship, unfortunately, there is a minor incident that had happened. You guys had noticed that there was a group of the military were on their vehicles driving around, actually driving a lot closer. For a moment, you thought maybe they were coming for you. I imagine Cracks got in his hot mind, okay, we'll just blow up the vehicle. But when he's like, we're not supposed to kill them yet, and so convinced you to try to like run and hide for a bit. In the running and hiding, Winnie actually slipped and fell and ripped part of her suit. It was fine. It's perfectly fine. She actually the suit sealed itself immediately as it was, but she's never been on this planet before, has never really had interactions with humans before and stuff like that. And she's heard of something called bird flu, and there's avians here, so she's a little freaked out at the moment. So as soon as she gets back to the ship, she's gonna like, no, I need to check my vitals, I need to make sure everything's fine, I gotta check my bioscanner, I gotta make sure everything's good to go. I'm worried I'm going to get like, like hay fever. I heard that's a thing that can kill people, and gonna be looking into like her own vitals, because Quarians are very fragile, and so she kind of like heads back there and is taking care of that. Obviously, Cattle and the Asari notice that when she comes back in, she heads immediately over to like the medical stuff that the Asari always has, and immediately starts like checking her stuff out. You can see like the abrasions on her armor.
Do I have to do anything about this, or do I not, because she's an NPC right now?
No. You got to go over it.
She's fine. Okay,
good. You care about her. You go over and she's just like, no. I got it. The suit's sealed.
Everything just happens.
Yeah. It's one of those like, listen, if it's gonna hit me, it's gonna hit me in the next couple of hours, and it's gonna be catastrophic. So let me just check and make sure that everything's good. I feel like I have a fever. No, I think I'm just stressing out. Hold on. So.
At least we don't have to go chasing all over a space station for this time.
No chasing all over for a space station for somebody. Ollie, one of the things that your character can do is you do have some Quarian antibiotics, so you can give those to her in case of emergency. You can give her some antibiotics to help out. Awesome. So that leaves the three of you guys.
So we don't have much more information on the place we're supposed to sneak into. We're still supposed to sneak in there.
But Is it even? I guess it would always be better to go in at night because people are less likely to be around.
Yeah.
So I guess we wait until night, right? I'll
yeah.
happily. Maybe it should be Cattle and Entree that go in to the
Maybe.
station because one.
Krogan's
is
little
pretty
large.
Pretty large, and Cattle doesn't need stealth. He's relatively normal and small. At least Entree has some stealth, I think. So
I certainly hope so.
I have stealth 0, but I'm not good at any stats. Is the issue? So I'm skilled. I'm just not fast. I know where to hide. I just can't get there. But I think that's a good plan. But I spent most of the day. Entree, because she is a Asari and has been on spaceships for a long time, is just gonna like lay in grass, like outside. Unless Cattle, like we're going now, in which case she'll be fine.
You would have had time to lay on grass too while the other two are out scouting and getting injured.
I'm gonna do it all day.
Yep, exactly. You just like literally. The air here smells nice. It doesn't smell like human air, right?
Exactly.
It smells like a clean planet. Your character has heard about clean planets before, and being able to be one of the first of peoples to step on a planet that is otherwise uninhabited by, your kind of life forms. This is a fucking clean planet. The sun is beating down. It's gorgeous. You did the survey scanner and whatnot. You know that the radiation levels of the sun are perfectly safe. Everything's good. You're enjoying it. I understand.
Cattle's just reprogramming something for the umpteenth time.
Okay. So you guys are doing that. Now they come back to you. Go.
No, we're doing that all day, Scott.
No, it's nighttime now. You're good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
then,
in that case.
Then we're ready to go. That's it. We'll go then. I think I'd take everything that I have.
Yeah.
I wouldn't leave anything behind just in case.
Cracks, you found some low light goggles, haven't you?
Cracks kind of just like looks over at the armory.
Would that be counted as armory?
I think
Or would that be like equipment lockers? Because there's a thing in Stars Without Number. You've got the armory and you've got like general equipment lockers.
Because I actually
They
have
kind of
two
do
low
different
lights.
things.
Mine and someone else's.
So
yeah.
no, that's the armory. It's more of the equipment locker.
Oh,
like you
okay.
were just saying, yeah.
Well, in that
Yeah.
case.
I would appreciate it if we could borrow the
yeah,
spare
he
set of
tosses
low light goggles.
the low light towards Entree.
Cool.
There you go. And you
I
more or
still
less
have
more or
a
less
survey
it's
scanner.
it's like an adjustment that you can like put onto your helmet if you're wearing your helmet, or you can have it separate if you want to. Are you going to be wearing your
yeah.
spacesuit helmet?
No.
Okay.
I can breathe the air here, and I fucking will.
Okay, so you're going to have it as like a separate piece or whatever. And
It
you
has
guys,
3 green lights on the front of it for no reason.
Yeah, it's a very strange human design. Doesn't make sense.
okay. Now, are you guys heading to the facility, or are you heading to the power plant? I know that there's kind of a discussion. I just didn't hear what the resolution was.
We're heading to the facility itself.
Okay, perfect. So you're heading to the
We're
facility.
also bringing the scope from Winnie.
If we can, yeah, that would be a good idea.
Winnie is actually a little defensive about the fact that you're taking the scope from her favorite sniper rifle. Make me a
We'd be
talk
asking for
charisma check.
For permission, of course.
Yep, you make a talk charisma check. She's easily persuaded because she's your friend, but it is her favorite scope. I'd say with that you succeed. I was going to say the DC-6 because she's a friend of yours. She would let you.
That's nice.
She would let you take the scope and borrow it. So she gives it to Cattle to keep an eye on, but she doesn't specify only for Cattle. And you guys make your way out of your ship and trying to be sneaky with a big old Krogan.
Krogan isn't coming with us.
Big old
Krogan's not going.
I know.
Krogan
made
isn't
a
coming
point
with
of
us.
I know, I heard. But with a big old Krogan, it's more fun. So you guys
But
are
it's
making your way
not
over towards the facility. Now, like I said
Fake
beforehand,
news.
it's a pretty good distance between the ship and there. Luckily, you guys had a lot of time to rest. And so you start making your way over. the first, like, most of the distance, make me a stealth check to kind of like avoid sights and everything. But I'm going to give you a +3 to this roll because, like, you've already seen, like, where the facility is, where the how it's all set up, where they generally drive and whatnot. Not crazy patterns, but you know more or less how to stay out of sight.
What kind of stealth check?
You can roll me an intelligence or a dexterity. Don't forget the +3.
I need a +3 to be decent.
Yeah.
Okay. So the,
Just dice, man.
That's why I wanted to go with you.
So the
But I want you here
Solarian
to
is
tell
able
me-
to stay kind of like out of sight and out of scanners and whatnot, and it actually does pretty well in not being noticed, right? Does pretty well in trying to stay low and out of sight. However, you do notice, Ollie, that you do have to give him a little bit of guidance along the way. Every once in a while, it's like, no, stay to this side. However, one of the things I can tell you, Cattle, is that she's an Asari huntress. So while she's still young and newer in her training compared to some that are a few centuries old, she's an Asari huntress. There are points in time where you're like making your trek along and then you kind of like think about, where is she? And you look around and you have no clue where she is. It kind of creeps you out a little bit, but also is emboldening of the fact that she's that good. Until like all of a sudden she kind of like steps out of nowhere, placing a hand on your shoulder and is like, no, go this way. And like gestures for you to go a different direction. Like, whoa, whoa, where the fuck did she just come from? But again, that's it. She's a huntress. So you guys make your way most of the gap all the way over to not just to the hill where you guys had stopped beforehand and you were making your scoping, but even beyond that to where it is that both Cracks and what's her name, Winnie, were able to ping on a map of where you should probably stop. I would actually say Cracks was the one that suggested where you should stop, because even if he's not stealthy in the least bit, he's at least intelligent in how combat should work. Like, oh, if I was fighting Asari, this is where them things would hide, and we just throw grenades over there. So like he would kind of be able to point that out. You guys get most of the way to the facility, but at this point there are lights that completely light up around the facility, and then occasional spotlights that look out beyond there. They're not doing this because they're concerned of somebody breaking in. That's not the concern at all. This place has never been attacked. They're doing it because they're literally just shedding light in the area for safety, for comfort, so on and so forth. But there are cameras and stuff like that around. So, and it is an Alliance military run research facility, which means that they have just systems in place that they do everywhere. I'm sorry, Ollie.
What is... So, we're in a settlement. Where is this facility in relation to settlement? What does the facility look like? Where is the Promethean ruins?
Okay,
I don't know anything about it.
Oh, I'm sorry, Ollie, I forgot. You weren't here last week. You were in chat. You weren't on the actual game. So the two military facilities are nearby one another over where the ship landed. If you assume that that is point A on the map, point B on the map, which is where the actual settlement was, we'll call it east of where they are. Okay? The actual Prothean research facility is to the west, the opposite direction of the settlement that you guys were going to, or more or less the opposite direction, up a hill and back down it. It's a couple of miles, about 2.5, 3 miles from the two military facilities, but it is literally right on the outskirts of the Prothean city. Now, when I say Prothean city, that's because it is a city. It's not like some small little ruins or whatever it is. It is a whole city that is only half buried underground from like the shifting of land or whatever storms have come through here or whatever. It's only half buried, and even that has been even more exposed from excavation and so on and so forth from the last year. Now,
So we'd be able to see it from here.
completely see it, no question. But it might kind of strike you as a little bit weird, like, why is this facility that's such important information so far from the military bases? Well, they're researching things of significance, and if something were to go wrong, they need to make sure that the military personnel, while are nearby and accessible, aren't in danger's path, because they have to be able to get there and aid and not just die in the initial shock, right? So it's convenient. But yeah, the Prothean city itself, you can literally, so if you assume like this is the facility that you're going to, the human facility that you're going to is immediately adjacent to it. You guys are now standing maybe, what was I going to say? Sorry, my brain's not working here. You guys are less than half of a kilometer from the actual city, which is itself less than half a kilometer from the Prothean ruin. If you wanted to, you can just go straight to the ruins, or even around them, which would take you ages. You can even go around them or straight to them. You don't have to go to the facility, but the facility has what you want.
Yeah.
Well, actually, about that, I would pose to Cattle that it might be easier to enter the facility via the ruins than
sensible.
via the entrances. Less likely to have camera setups, and from looking at it, there's probably about 12 to a billion ways they have into the ruins, because it's like, oh, we found some tunnels in the ruins, we're going to go into the Prothean sewers, and there's bound to be a gazillion ways in that way that are going to be less checked. So then it's like, oh, we want to go in through the front door or the window. Oh no, they'll see us. Oh, we're screwed. We have backup plans.
Yep.
It's also the most probable area where people are going to be running around, though.
True, but they're more likely to be deeper in the ruins than right at the entrance.
We can always scope it out.
We could definitely scope it out. Yeah.
So
I think I'd have you do that. You have better wisdom. No, you're not trying to do that. Sorry.
Ollie, your logic is perfectly sound and good to go. However, I did want to tell you that just one more explanation in case you didn't quite catch that. The ruins aren't solely underground. They're also, because the fact is,
I know.
buildings are also above ground, there's sky bridges and stuff too. Okay? So perfectly sound. Cool. So you guys are going to, so you sit there having this conversation, looking at the facility, seeing all the lights around it and whatnot, and it's like, this is a research facility, so it's not like designed for, but at the same time, it's not a prison, right? But at the same time, you're like, there are a lot of cameras that are most likely there. They can't necessarily see them, but you know where they most likely are. And then so you bring up the idea, and Cattle thinks it's brilliant, and so you guys kind of go that direction instead. Now, here's my question. From where you are and where the facility is, do you just kind of beeline it straight to the ruins, or do you want to go to the ruins while also heading closer to the facility, the opposite direction of the facility to get even more of a distance? What's the plan?
Gonna toilet bowl it.
Sure.
We're gonna go the long way away from the facility to the ruins, sort of in the crest of the hill.
Killing as much time, killing a ton more time, but being as safe
Yo,
as
slow,
possible.
yeah.
Yep, awesome.
I'm an Asari.
Yep. Sounds
That's how
great.
we do it. Cattle can fucking waste away when we're doing it, but I'm in charge of stealth.
Awesome.
But I would be stopping to scope when we have a good vantage, like where we'd be entering from.
Yep, definitely. So as you guys are making your way over to the ruins and you get much closer, can you do me a favor? Because of the fact that you did exactly what you just asked for, Ollie, going the exact opposite direction, could you roll me that same check you just did, the stealth with the +3?
Oh, cool.
Gorgeous, darling, gorgeous.
Does Cattle need that too?
Yep.
Oh, no, okay.
Oh, I was like, you guys.
Oh, I thought you were just Ollie, but okay.
Use guys.
Never believe Scott.
I'm learning!
Yeah, yeah. So what it
It's
comes
a lot
down
easier now. We're just like on a hill.
Yeah, so what it kind of comes down to
Stay low.
is that you make, because you saw how much you struggled before, at least for this part, because you're pretty confident, you keep yourself more visible to Cattle than you had before, allowing Cattle, not necessarily giving him your style of movements, but allowing him to mock your steps much better. So Cattle has an easier time. He's a quick learner, right? So he has a much easier time of like keeping in tow with you to stay out of sight. So you guys do an incredibly good job of making sure that nothing notices you. You actually, at one point in time, a human Mako comes like whipping around. Actually, at the speed at which it's driving and whatnot, you're not sure if they're doing patrol or out for a joyride. But there is a Mako that's whipping around in this area, and you guys like take a solid 10 minutes where you lie low in between like an area of rocks, and maybe at this point in time like you have a drink and eat something really quickly and kind of like refresh yourselves, and then keep going. Bringing you all the way to the ruins now, Ollie, as you were asking beforehand. Once you get to the outskirts, because you can easily just go running into the city, right? But like they're Prothean ruins. There are inherent dangers that could exist here.
Yeah, I was aware of this. It's almost like knowing, like as a DM, is like, oh, they're gonna go through the ruins. I'm expecting some. Also, just to be completely out there, the way you describes like, oh, the military's over there, so if there'll be time if something goes wrong. They're prepared if something goes wrong, but there'll be time. I'm expecting there's gonna be something fucking horrible because it's a proofroom research city. Maybe like fucking husks or something crazy. I don't even know.
Okay.
Anyway,
Well,
More snipers.
paranoia.
so one of the things that you notice as you come to the Prothean ruins, immediately when you get there and you start looking in. Well, actually, you don't notice it yet. Roll me your perception checks as you get to the ruins, start looking around. You can you're using your night vision, of course, but make me your perceptions. Wisdom, please.
Any bonus for using the sniper scope?
Nope, that just gives you a much greater range, and when I describe things more.
Makes sense.
I'm really starting to hate the -1 perception, -1 wisdom.
I'm just bad. Entree is just bad apart from stealth, it seems.
Yeah. So so you guys are go over there and you look around or whatever, and it seems like just kind of like glancing into the area, you're like, there's Cattle is more in awe. Like Cattle has never come to Prothean ruins before. Are you kidding me? It's a Solarian wet dream. So like, the amount of information that he would have here, that's a Solarian wet dream. But so he's kind of like in awe of the facilities, but he's not like focusing on what he's supposed to be doing, which is looking at the other stuff. You, however, Ollie, are able to see that in here, there's very clearly different types of plants that grow in here versus out there. Out there almost seems like meadows or pastures or whatnot. In here, there seems to be more of like a brush and just taller trees or whatever grow inside this area. Again, out there is almost exclusively pastures from where you landed and around the facility.
I didn't even consider that.
So that's something that you you notice going in here, and clearly the facility casts a lot of shadows. So whatever kind of plants these are, they definitely grow more in shade than they do in sunlight. Most tree-like structures grow more in sunlight than shade, but that doesn't necessarily, like every plant's a little different. That's all you're able to glean as you're looking in with your 5.
Convenient for me. I'm trained on like I trained on a garden planet. I should be able to hide under trees. And I would relay that to Cattle. Like, I can't see a clear path, but if we stay in the trees and in the brushland, it might not necessarily be what you're used to, being more of a city dweller, but it will hide us from human eyes.
Awesome. So, do you respond to that, Cattle?
Yeah, that's fine. She's the expert in stealth.
Okay, cool.
And then I guess we just start going. I don't think there's any reason to wait anymore.
Nope. So
I don't see anyone.
You easily, like, you don't have to worry about, like, survival checks to make sure you navigate yourself back correctly. I mean, like, you have pinged on your map where it is that you are, where that is that's going. There are no satellite uplinks here. So it's not like you have GPS telling you where you are. However, there is a VI in your thing that's kind of calculating out how far you've traveled from when you, like, okay, we know we need to get here, ping. We know we're starting here, ping. This is going to kind of track us based off of the distance that we're moving. Almost like an odometer checks like.
I was going to say, right? If I remember correctly, unless it was just something that the we had last season, there was like a thing where basically, if you, even though you didn't have a satellite uplink, it would create a map of your local area via just where you're going. So we at least have that for the way back.
Yep, as the information, more or less, like if it is you're playing a video game, as like you go into a new area, it opens up. On like the map, the display map that you can see, it's much like that. The thing is constantly like farming for data of what it can pick up nearby, what information you're feeding to it. So yes, Ollie, you are correct. So you do have that, so you know where you're going. However, when you're in a city, you have to. There's some kind of navigations. So immediately when you go into the city, Ollie and Cattle, what's your focus? Like, what are you worried about? Like, I mean, do you want to? Okay, let's continue focusing on stealth. Let's focus on speed to get there. Like, what is like
stealth
tactic?
Stealth, and keeping a watch for anyone, because not only do we not want to be seen, but I also kind of want to see what they're doing or where they'd be going if we do see anyone.
Okay.
So stealth and perception, I guess.
You can roll for
75% stealth, 25% perception.
Can you roll for me, please? Intelligence survival checks, please, because I'm. For something else.
Oh, you don't need to do survival checks.
No, this is something for something else entirely.
I know. You just said that like less than 2 minutes ago.
Okay, so what is it? Ollie, once again, it's just because Cattle had rolled lower than the 6. Ollie, one of the things that you realize is at the speed at which you guys are moving, using your stealth, looping around, how short the days are based off of what you were able to glean during the daytime here and what you knew of the planet prior from Cattle's information that he had. You're like, we can definitely stealth our way around, and that's the smart option. However, by the time we get to the facility, assuming we can get there quickly, sunrise will be very shortly thereafter. Like the sun will start to come up. You're not really so worried about fatigue because you've got things to keep you moving, coffee and whatnot, and not to mention adrenaline when you get closer. But your concern was light itself. So you definitely focus on stealth, but the sun will be right around the corner by the time you get to the facility. Okay? Nights are short in the summer. The distance.
Yes, they are. I was under the opinion of the opposite, despite the fact that it is currently winter and almost dark out already. I'm an idiot, okay? The outside world is an enigma to me. I'm just going to be a little gremlin, and I'm okay with it.
I shun it as well, it's fine.
In which case, Andre would she'd ask the cattle, but while moving, like through comms, it's like, we can get faster and have the cover of night for longer. If you think you can handle it, it would be the penient decision.
I don't feel like sitting around for another day, waiting, watching, observing from a bunch of ruins.
We absolutely
would be better if we speed up.
We wouldn't be able to, unless we hid in the ruins for the day, and she kind of like looks around, and I imagine like it's like a bird noise from some horrible thing up there, and it's like, don't feel entirely comfortable doing this.
There are plenty of things left to be unearthed in these ruins. A lot of them could be dangerous.
Then speed it should be.
And so you change your ratio a little bit. Gotcha. Okay. So
absolutely.
Yep. So that's not a problem. Now what you're going to do is, as you're making your way forward, navigating your way through the place, again, getting to where you need to go is easy. It's just getting there safely that you're concerned about. This is going to be, once again, a different type of survival check. This one, you're actually able to roll survival, and you can actually roll for me intelligence, wisdom, or dexterity. Your choice, any of the 3. Tell me which one you're doing.
I'm doing wisdom.
Intelligence.
Thank you.
So Entree is wiser than Cattle is smart.
So
interesting.
So Cattle, well, the way it works is like this. Cattle, you are approaching, you immediately, like, as soon as you walk in, you're like, okay, so this is the plan, this is how we're going to get there, and you're like, and Entree is able to very quickly, like, shut it down, like, no. Like, yes, that's going to be the quickest way there, we're worried about time, however, we also don't want to get noticed, and if we come through this area over here, who knows, it kind of like leaves us open and exposed. So she kind of like sets the initial guideline and path, but as you guys come up to a new area going along, you both like stop and have a quick little conversation about how do we get through this next area. Like, okay, look at this, like we need to go across the sky bridge that's kind of half buried, but what's the quality of the metal here? Does it seem like it's decomposed? And so she's like, I think we should just go around this entirely. And Cattle's like, no, look at this clearly, and like checks the metal and is like, this is solid, we're safe, and you can get through it that way. So it's literally a combination of the two of you guys using your intelligence and your wisdom to navigate through the facility to the best of your ability. It just seems to be that her instincts or her training seems to be a little bit better than his raw intelligence. But that doesn't change the fact that you two work together to get through there, right? Do me another favor,
like
please.
Colleagues.
You guys roll me your stealth checks. You don't need it for this. I'm not saying it because I just want to remind you. You do have 2 points in that pool that were put there.
You have to declare that first, right? It's the opposite action points.
Correct.
Yeah.
Declare before you roll. But again, you don't need it for, like, I'm not saying use it now. I just want to remind you.
What type of stealth check?
Oh, stealth dexterity, please.
Can I please use wisdom? I'm being a wise lady.
You are being a wise lady. That's why you're wisely using your dexterity.
Okay. No modifier.
No.
Free balling.
Ooh.
Okay, so as you guys are making your way moving
What is
along,
wisdom?
Once again, she uses a lot of raw wisdom in making her decisions and where it is to go based off of safety, right? She's very nimble in hiding herself and whatnot as well, but her focus is speed and safety at the moment. Cattle, however, is more than happy to let the huntress go first and hang back. So what you guys are coming across is at one point in time, you come to an area where it's literally the opening of a city block. It's completely open here, sans the fact that it is some very strange looking fauna that's growing nearby. You've noticed that this fauna...
Do you mean flora?
My apologies, flora. Thank you so much. There's some very strange looking flora that's growing nearby. This flora, you've noticed it's not sentient, but it has it almost reminds you of what you've seen in human books of being a Venus flytrap. It waits for other small creatures to come by and snatches and grabs them. So there's a few of those in the area, but you've already learned your lesson with those with your wisdom check before. You kind of like realized that, and you literally stopped and waited at one point in time until like something got snatched up, and you're like, good, and you've been able to avoid those. So you see a few of those there. That's the only thing that really brings to alarm. But otherwise, it's a completely open area. There's no way of ducking and covering. So Cattle, you hang back while she goes, makes her way, looks around, makes sure things are good. So
Cattle succeeded this stealth check just because he went second. I am absolutely fine with that description.
And so she checks her corners, makes sure everything's good to go, and then she starts rushing forward. You're welcome to make for me a perception check, both of you. Cattle, and I'm sorry to do this to you, I'm going to give you a -1 on this one because you're not the one that it's angles.
Angles.
Ooh.
Well, at least I get to see it eat me.
Okay, so Cattle, you once again angles. So as you're kind of like hanging back, it's coming from the direction. So like as you're hanging back next to a wall, it's coming from the direction that's through the wall. So again, assume like a 4-way intersection. You're facing this way, and it's coming from the side, right? So you don't notice it at all, which is fine. However, Ollie, as you're walking through, making your way across, you're going, and then all of a sudden, like you just feel the sensation that like something is watching. You almost felt as though like maybe something was watching before, but that's just because you were creeped out in the ruins. You weren't an idiot. And then literally you hear the whooshing of wind. It's like literally the sound of whooshing winds. You glance up just in time to see this large avian creature, maybe, can't tell, it's a big thing with wings, is coming down at you very, very quickly. Roll for me a dexterity saving throw. Because you noticed it, I'm going to give you a +2.
How big is it?
Big enough that you think it could pick up you and fly away if it wanted to.
Can I, instead of dodging, draw my sword and like duck and hold my sword out in front of me? Like a fucking badass.
Yes, but it's going to be a harder save. Instead of a +2, I'm going to give you a -1.
Oh, okay. Let me actually look at that. And that's an evasion save, right?
Yes, sir. Or ma'am.
You gotta roll under that.
Well, you gotta roll over it.
Yeah, that's the threshold.
Yep. So you roll.
I gotta roll over.
Yep.
So does the +2 make?
So let's say
it lowers it by 2.
Your threshold is 13. If you roll you're gonna roll a d20. If your total is a 13 or higher, you succeed.
I'm just confused. So what do I do to the modifier for this -2? Do I?
Whatever you roll, I'm
for
going
this
to
-1.
It. Yep.
Okay, good.
So it's a +2
at one point
-1.
you said that we had to do. Okay, I'm
actually
gonna
should
sort
change
it
that in the code to make sure that we can actually apply a modifier. Currently, you can't apply a modifier.
Yeah, that's what's confusing. Because at one point we did them on our side. I know I did them wrong. All right, I'm gonna dodge.
Okay. Oh, you rolled so poorly.